Hey everyone, Ashley May, Mike Beer here with the Daily Racing Form, taking a look at the Saturday DRF race of the day. It's at Oaklawn Park. It's the Oaklawn Handicap, the 11th of 12 races on the program, a mile and an eighth for the older horses. And Mike, before we jump into this, I feel like the race of the day for the past couple weeks, at least on the weekend, they've been Derby preps. And with those finished, the Kentucky Derby is just a couple of weeks ahead. And with that, we do have some packages available on shop.drf.com. It includes past performances, betting strategies, the player's guide, as well as clocker reports. You can save up to 39% by getting involved with those packages. So preps are done. Now the prep time for handicapping begins for the Derby. And obviously that'll change a little bit as we get closer to the event and post positions are drawn. But going back here to this Saturday race of the day, we said it's the Oaklawn Handicap. We'll take a look at the field here. And it's a field of 8, and it's pretty interesting. A lot of these horses, Mike, maybe in their last start or even two back, they've squared off against one another.
Yeah, pretty good field here. I mean, I feel like the logical horses are pretty well matched if they all show up and run their really good race. You got the defending champion of this race, Skippy Longstocking, in here at 5-2 on the morning line. I just thought this was a really interesting race because the favorites are very strong, but there are a couple of other horses in here who have real chances to win.
And we'll take a look at the time form US pace projections here for the Oaklawn Handicap. And it'll be interesting to see what the 7 Banishing does if they do decide to stay in the spot. And the reason we kind of talked about this moments ago is horse has been very solid so far in 2025, but this is different. Has to stretch out to a mile and an eighth and surely has some early foot, but I don't think he'll necessarily be that lonely on the lead if he stays in.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, listen, if he does run here, they're probably their best chance to win is to try to make the lead here. And why the horse is in great form right now, but he just ran another really good race 3 weeks ago, going a mile. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't come back here. If they do, I would expect them to use his speed.
Looking it off with the number 1, Go West Go for Boyd Castor. Now this horse just 1 for 5 in the career. It came at the maiden $50,000 claiming ranks 4 starts back. And you look at those most recent efforts, I feel like they've been good, but obviously just different level of competition. And they've been sprinting. I mean, this is a huge test for this 4-year-old colt.
Yeah. Speaking of horses who might scratch, I'd be surprised if we saw this one in here. If he does run, he just looks like a no-hoper.
The 2 Disarm was able to return to the winner's circle last time out, and that lone start so far as a 5-year-old. Now, that came at Oaklawn, a track that's been good to him in the past, and I thought in terms of trip, he tripped out, and it was nice to see him win because I feel like for so long, Mike, he was stamped as a horse that needed a mile and an eighth and needed a mile and a quarter and needed more ground, but mile and a 16th was fine last out.
Yeah, and this distance I think is fine for him too. Longer distances are no problem for Disarm. I was a big fan of this horse as a 3-year-old. I just thought he had tons of potential, and for whatever reason, actually, I don't know what it is, but he just never really developed as a 4-year-old last year. I just thought overall he was really disappointing. Last year, good return from the layoff though. Last time, I know it was only an allowance race, but it was a pretty good field. And he just sat that 3-wide tracking trip, took over pretty easily in there. He was never letting Bendu get by him at the end. It was a good return from the layoff last time. That we'll see how much he can improve here. If he's around that 10-1 morning line, he's super interesting.
The 3 First Mission up next. Now, another one that just has 1 start in 2025. We'll take a look at that effort last time out. It was the Razorback Handicap. And in terms of the performance that he's able to throw, it's a good effort. I think it's a good starting point for his 5-year-old season, but you can see Alexander Helios and Banishing, they finish in front of him, and he was just grinding here. He's grinding his gears. He's trying to get by these top 2, and he comes up a little short.
Yeah, he loomed at the top of the stretch here like he might go right by these horses, and he can't quite fight his way past them, but he tries hard right down to the edge. He was off of a little bit of a layoff in this spot, and they did take a pretty good hold of this horse early to sit off the pace. You don't have to ride him that way, but I just feel like he's going to be way sharper in this race. He's obviously got a top effort that makes him a handful in here. This horse, he's a major player.
I think he deserves to be the favorite as well based on that return to the races and even his resume last year. The 4 Skippy Longstocking, he'll look to defend his title, and he used the Challenger last year as a kind of springboard to this race. He's going to do the same, and we'll take a look at the Challenger last time out. And I know Saffie Joseph Jr. was a little concerned with the scratches in here. It became a 4-horse field. You just never know what's going to happen. And the main 2 stayed in, Skippy Longstocking and Most Wanted. And, Most Wanted's giving him a fight, but I do feel like the final, 30 strides to the wire, you can see he's just traveling better. And in the case of Most Wanted, he probably needed a race.
Yeah. I'm sure you're very concerned when you scratch down to a 4-horse field and you're 3-5. Boy, he must have been terrified. He got a perfect trip in that race, and he got the job to the end. The Challenger is his race, man. He wins that race every single year. He did run a really fast race when he won the Oaklawn Handicap last year. Actually, I wondered. The longer I looked at it, and I know Highland Falls, the horse that finished second to him, did turn out to be pretty good at the end of the year. Don't you feel like the race is way tougher this year than it was last year?
I do feel like it's tougher, but I feel like based on his resume and what he was able to do after the Oaklawn Handicap, I know it's a little bit of a mixed bag of what you're getting, but he's been pretty impressive visually in some of his performances. And
Yeah.
it's just depending which version of Skippy shows up. And that's sort of been the common theme with him. I feel like his connections have had performances where they scratch their head and they have to go back to the drawing board, but typically they do that and he comes out a winner the next time out. So I would agree with the assessment. I do think this is a deeper field. I think a lot's going to depend if there are any scratches as well. As you mentioned, it could be a scratch or two in this field come Saturday. The 5, Alexander Helios. This is the stable mate and a horse that I just feel like in terms of recent form is very, very strong, was able to pop a 102 buyer last time out in the Razorback Handicap. He was forward throughout there. And we took a look at that performance. I also think he was gritty. I mean, I think the top 3, they all ran their race, but in terms of breakthrough performance, that's certainly what it was for him. First time in stakes competition.
Yeah, I just liked his win last time a lot. Banishing, we're going to get to him in a minute. Banishing's just a horse who's been in really good form. He made the lead in that race, and Alexander Helios just kept him honest on the pace the entire way and then drove him down at the end. First mission couldn't quite get there. Another new buyer top for this horse. He's in great form right now. He's got the right running style for this race. He's a contender right back.
The 6 Tarantino is 20-1 on the morning line. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, Mike. I know he doesn't necessarily pick up the first prize money often, but if you look at his performance last time out in the Essex, I know he's second, he's well defeated, but in terms of the way that the race played out, Red Route 1, who he'll have to tackle again on Saturday, was flying from off of it. In terms of horses being close to the action, he's really the only one that stayed.
Yeah, he ran a really underrated race last time. There's no doubt about it. I mean, listen, obviously, this is a horse who needs a breakthrough because he's gotten way better since the claim 4 straight now graded stakes races where he's hit the board without winning. But man, it's hard, in my opinion anyway, it's hard not to want him out of that last race over Red Route 1 because that pace was wicked. This horse was right up close while Red Route 1 was just sitting back, biding his time and waiting to make the last run.
The 7 Banishing has been in excellent form, 4 races straight with 100 or more buyer speed figure in those. And last time out was able to win the Oaklawn Mile. Now he was able to beat Saudi Crown, who ended up going off as even money. And I think a lot of people backed in that event just based on his resume. But I thought this horse did everything right. He was able to kind of press the pace and be part of it and then kick on. He does have a nice second at a 1.16 miles. We showed that in the Razorback. I'm not sure, though, about the 1.125 miles, Mike. I think that's my one little concern here. He's obviously been able to stretch out to 2 turns, but to me, he's a sprinter now turned 2-turn horse, and I just don't know how far you can keep on pushing it.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about the distance than I am the pace because we saw the pace projector early, which showed him out front on a fast pace. And if the pace is fast, I don't look at him as a horse actually who needs to be on the lead because he's been very comfortable and he's finished very strongly without the lead in his races. So if they had to rate him, I don't think it's any kind of a big deal. I am concerned that the 9 furlongs might be a little too far for him.
The 8 Red Route 1 rounds out the field. This one was the winner of the Essex Handicap, and another one that you can see had some okay performances and then lost form when you look at late 2024, early 2025, but got back to the winner's circle. And you talked about it. The pace, there was a meltdown. He was able to close.
Yeah, I mean, pace and trip is just super important at this horse. If he doesn't get a fast pace to close into, he's generally a non-factor. And when he gets a fast pace to close into, can be a dangerous horse at times. The Essex last time, Asmussen actually ran a stablemate as a rabbit in there, and he made sure that pace went really fast in front of him. He doesn't have that kind of a horse in here this time.
All right, that's the field for this great event this Saturday out at Oaklawn Park, the Oaklawn Handicap. $1.3 million is the purse, and don't forget, with it being the race of the day, free past performances on the DRF website. Top pick time for Mike and I, and Mike, you'll go to the 3 first mission in here who obviously probably needed the race last time out and can step up.
Just think he can move forward in here. Between the 2 favorites, I just prefer him to Skippy Longstocking. I didn't want to use them both. I will use the 3 instead of the 4. The other horse for me is the 2 Disarm.
I go to Skippy Longstocking. I loved your sarcasm about the short field last time out. you can see weird things happen in short fields where jockeys just do things that are unpredictable, and it didn't pan out that way, but I do think he put away a nice horse, Most Wanted, who I think will have a pretty good campaign going forward. So 4-5-3-7 for me, 3-2-4-7 for Mike. The Oaklawn Handicap, race 11 this Saturday at Oaklawn. Good luck.